Hello, welcome to Chat Sith Get Banged, the Team Calamity's Final Fantasy TCG podcast. I'm your host Tom Hall, and joining me today on the panel we've got Rich Mason.
Hello.
And Mitchell Lander.
Hello.
So it's been a while. I think the last time we did this was because there was a last set came out. And we haven't had anything else to talk about, so we haven't bothered. I think it's fair to say we've been focusing on trying to keep the wheel of going to locals and keeping the game fun while nothing is happening. But there's a new set, so we're back to do our Legends review. Does anyone have anything to say, or should we just get cracking into it?
I think it's going to take a while.
It's going to be a long one, isn't it?
Just get cracking.
Yeah, let's just start burning through these.
I mean, I'll probably just add, I feel like this is going to be an important set because this is going to take us into like March time, isn't it? Until Opus 19. And obviously we're hoping in the new year that we're actually going to have announcements of stuff that's going on and like a return to sort of competitive play, organised play sort of thing. Yeah, so we're hoping there's like a roadmap to... They've said there's going to be a Worlds next year. I think they've said it's Japan. So yeah, we're expecting some kind of roadmap or something meaningful. And you would think if it gets sort of kick-start straight off of the year, then this set's going to sort of set the meta for the first half. And looking at the cards, it probably will spread on till like the second half of the year with the next set, unless something radical happens. So yeah, we'll go straight into it. So we're reviewing the Legends. If you've not listened before, hello. This is how we do it. So rather than just rating everything out of like 5, we do like a tier ranking. So with the tiers we have are S tier, obviously being the best, A, B, and C rankings. But just to sort of try and make it more interesting, rather than just giving everything A's, you have to put everything in a slot. So you have 2 slots for the S tier, and then 4 slots for everything else. So you've got to sort of mix and match it. So if you want to play along as we do them, sort of fill out your rankings as we talk about them, then feel free to join in with that. I'll put them on the screen if you're watching on like YouTube or like the Spotify video. And if you're not, if you're just listening, I will read out all of the abilities, etc., so that you know what's going on. So let me bring them up, and we will get straight onto it. He says. There we go. Just before we start on this, just a shout out to the new FFTCG card browser on the main site, which had a little update, I think, for this Opus. It looks quite snazzy, so you can sort of scroll through the like the full art variants and stuff, depends on what you want. So it's pretty snazzy. It's pretty cool. So we'll get started. What we'll do, we'll lead out. Someone will lead on it, and then we can just add our rankings, and we'll try and whiz through them because these do tend to take quite a long time to go through them. So we'll start with the order that they've given. So the first card up is Faris, which is fire. Mitch, you're normally the Warrior of Light man. You can lead on Faris. Let me read the ability. So Faris is a 3 CP fire forward job pirate stroke Warrior of Light. When Faris enters the field or attacks, deal 1000 damage to all forwards. When Faris or a job Warrior of Light forward you control is dealt damage, choose up to 1 forward opponent controls, deal it 3000 damage. And then it has a damage-free ability. When Faris enters the field, you may search for 1 job Warrior of Light other than card name Faris and add it to your hand. Mitch, take us away with our first legend from Opus 18.
I like this card. I think I've had a lot of thoughts about how I can build around this card and what you can do. Like you can do Earth Fire with Pelennor, ping everything and just go absolutely insane. You can go Cactar, ping yourself, a bit like Dadaluma. I think it's exciting. The only problem I have with it is that it's named Faris, which is the best Warrior of Light in like the water fire one. It's just the best one. So they couldn't have named this something like Lena and then swapped them over. I don't know why they did that. I feel like they've gimped it for that reason. So if it was called Lena, I'd say that this is probably an S tier card. But because it's called Faris, I think it's a B tier.
It's a B tier for Mitch. Rich, anything to add on Faris?
I am a little bit higher. I've gone for an A on Faris, and that's because I never really played the old one anyway. But I do agree that with what Mitch said, that like the name clash does hurt it. But then again, you might not care because you're gonna play the deck in a way that's gonna achieve things slightly differently. So you might not mind giving up. I imagine you're referring to the dual element Faris.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you might not mind if your deck is being built to achieve things in a particular way, but I think it's a lot of text. Like that's a lot of effects for one card to have. The damage 3 effect is really relevant because it doesn't give you any limitations on the job warrior of light that you can search for, which is quite nice. You know, search the ones that you don't draw. But yeah, I gave it an A just because it's a good card, relevant job. So I felt like it was deserving of an A.
Good start. Are you
Wait.
jotting these down again, Rich? Or do I
I
need
am,
to?
yeah.
You are, okay. No, got too many things to click. I've actually come very prepared this time. I don't normally do this. I've actually made notes and already ranked my things. I normally just do it on the fly as we're talking about them. This is all I've written for Faris. Not for me, but good. So it'd be. So yeah, never fan of the Warrior of Light stuff. I don't really play them. Don't know why. I've just never really warmed to that package.
Why do I feel
so...
like that's going to be your caption for maybe 12 or 14 of these legends?
It could well be. We'll see. No, I've got there's some variations on a theme. Don't worry. But yeah, I've just never. I don't know. Don't know if any of people in sort of the wider community reflects on that. Just it's never really captured me, the Warrior of Light package. So never really played any of them.
I mean,
so I can't see me really getting into this one.
It's as I said, it's a good card. It can be searched off of what's that one that takes for damage and can get a 3 cost. The 4 drop fire one. I can't remember the name of it, but you can search that.
Oh, Megisa.
Yeah, Megisa. So you can get that off it. Like this can search when it says you search one job Warrior of Light. You can search backups. So they've brought out new Cryle, which you can search. I think there's a one in water as well, the 6 drop. I think that's a Warrior of Light. That searches too.
Sarah.
Hang on, let me just do this on the fly because I'm.
Oh, we're so prepared. We are so
prepared.
quality content.
He's trying to pretend he doesn't know
Sarah,
exactly what it is.
Sarah FFL, yeah, Sarah, which is
What
the
was-
Warrior of Light. So you can search that, and that searches you 2 Warrior of Light. So you've got an engine there. As I said, it was, and if this wasn't called Faris, I would say the best way to go would be Fire Water. But because it is called Faris, I think Earth might be the best, maybe even Wind, because of the new Barts.
Was there a pirate searcher, or was it a Viking searcher that was a pirate?
It was the Faris, wasn't it? That got like a 2 forwards whose power came to less than 3,000.
I feel like there's something about around pirates and Vikings, and you either search.
Yeah, you know, there was a 4 drop. I can't remember the name of it. It used to get a Viking standard unit from the break zone.
And it's a pirate. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's relevant. You always think when they've started with these double jobs, it's because there's like something super relevant with it.
No,
but maybe not.
Oh, it was Layla. Layla Viking.
Oh, the Layla Viking combo.
Yeah.
And there was like there was a good potential Viking. There was a Viking card name, but its job as pirates. You couldn't play it. Is that right? Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm chatting shit.
No. You are.
Yeah, and this is why the podcast takes so long.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I did realise as I was reading out our first card, the amount of text on these legends compared to how they used to be. No wonder these things take so long. Put an hour aside just to read the card out.
Yeah.
But, okay.
Gains 1,000 power for each forward your opponent controls. End text.
Yeah. Tom, what was your grade for that one?
B.
You've gone B as well.
So. Just before we move on, there was talk I've seen online about like Dadaluma, the new Dadaluma. Is it going to be sort of as toxic as that, or
I think
is it worse or more
if
balanced?
If someone can make it consistent, then yes, it'll be good. But it's the problem of making it consistent.
Is that Sildra in the background or a Leviathan? The picture. Don't know.
Looks like it might just be a wave. It's something like
it's a dragon head in it.
It's Sildra because Sildra and Paris
Sildra.
are like
I guess I'm trying not to
Connected.
click on it because if I do, it's going to get rid of all of my settings on the card searcher, and it really
Uh,
throws me off. So I can't zoom in. So I'm trying to see something that's like the tiniest little bit of the screen. It does look like a little dragon head, but
well, we'll move
Yeah.
on. We'll move on. We'll move on to ice. So, Rich, you can do the ice one because you're normally you kind of like ice, don't you? Maybe
He
not.
likes FF11.
yeah, that's the big
There
one.
you go.
I'm an absolute whore for FF11, so
Okay.
I'm very
Oh
happy
yeah, of
that
course. Yeah.
all of these Seekers of Adulans characters that are starting to get like Theodore and August and Arcelia are starting to get their cards now, which makes me really, really happy. Theodore, I didn't actually think was that good, and I've
Oh,
gone
hang on.
for
I've got to read it out first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, excuse me. Excuse our panel. Right. So yeah, Theodore. Is it Theodore then? That's how you say it.
Yeah.
Theodore. 9 cost. Ice forward. Dark Knight. Black Mage. Category 11. Now he has the new Warp ability. So this is a Warp 2. It costs 2 ice. I'll talk about the Warp in a second. So if your opponent, so this is his normal ability. If your opponent has 2 cards or less in their hand, Theodore gains 2,000 power, haste, and first strike. When Theodore enters the field, your opponent discards 2 cards. When Theodore enters the field due to Warp, your opponent discards 1 card. So just for anyone who's not familiar with what's happening with Warp, so with the Warp, you pay the Warp cost on the card. So you have the card in hand, you pay the Warp cost, you then remove that card. Mitch, correct me if I'm wrong, by the way, do jump in. You remove the card from the game with a token based on how many the Warp factor is. So this is Warp factor 2. You've got to say Warp factor, right? Warp factor 2. Then after 2 turns, that card will then enter the field. And obviously, you can obviously pay it straight from hand. So if you want to pay 9 CP, you can pay it from hand. But that is how Warp. So it's a bit similar to that Aerith, the Resurgent Aerith that we had 1 or 2 sets ago, where when it died, you put the re-raise token thing on it. Similar to that, but you pay for this. So this is brand new effect. I think people are fairly excited about it. So go on then, Rich. Tell us how great Theodore is.
You've instantly just made me feel very self-conscious about my grade that I've given it because I said I'd give it a B, and you're like, the community is very excited about this card. I'm like, fuck.
Well, this was the first Warp we saw.
Like,
This was the introduction to Warp. So people were like, "Ooh, this Warp could be interesting."
The only thing that gets me is just the fact that it's going to be like a really telegraphed play, so you know what's going to come, and you can, to a certain extent, play around it by either just keeping trash cards in your hand and keeping your hand high, or by just spunking everything and not caring that ice is getting what it wants. It's good that it sets itself up, so if you've got 5 cards in hand, it's going to make you discard 3, and then it's got 2 cards to then have the haste in the first strike on the turn that it comes in, which is very good. And the other thing is, I don't know how relevant it is, but it is a black mage. I don't really know if a black mage deck would run this, but every time we get black mage, we then have to look back at the Black Waltz package and be like, ooh, this is new, and then whether it's actually worth playing or not. So it's good, but is it anything new? It's just making you discard. It's a little bit boring. If it wasn't for the warp mechanic, it'd be probably the most boring Legend this set. But now for you guys to tell me that I'm wrong about everything.
Well, no, I mean, that kind of sums up my notes here. So I've kind of said probably, making someone discard 3 for potentially a 2 cost is pretty broken. It's kind of like S tier, but it's in a very C tier element because ice is a bit crap really outside of that. So turn 1, this is very good. I think if you do this early, you're going to go heavy discard, aggro them out. So probably an A I've gone for, I think, for Theodore. Just I think it will. You don't want to see this. No one wants to play against heavy ice discard that's going to hit. And this will, if you get this early, it's going to hit, and you're probably going to struggle. In fact, it's got all the haste and stuff as well. And then you can combo up with things like that 2-drop Squall that gets haste and first strike when they haven't got cards. So you can see a nasty package coming together. It just won't hit all the time. And then the ice will struggle. Particularly if wind is going to be still prevalent. It's kind of like the people sort of touting it as the main force at the moment in the current state. So wind traditionally does well against ice. So I don't know. I'm going to give it A just because it's a good warp. The first warp. Mitch, have you got Are you going to fall
So
right in the middle? Or?
no, I've gone A, and I've gone A because of it doing it turn one, and with, as you said, wind being so prevalent. The reason wind is so prevalent is because once it's set up, it's unbeatable. Like there's nothing really you can do much against it. But if they want to take like a slow game, like a risky slow game, and they want to keep their card in their hand. I want to play these backups, all this sort of stuff. This goes, no, you're not. Turn one, I'm dropping this. Discard. You've got you've got 2 turns, and then you're discarding 3, and it sort of puts your opponent under pressure to make sure that they have to play all their hand out, and then they're top decking. And wind's not very good at top decking. It's very good at controlling the game, and this stops it doing that. So I really like it for that turn one sort of thing. As Rich said, with the black mages, the best black mages were the fire and the lightning ones. But if now that this is in there, it could go breed an ice lightning deck, especially with like the new Sephiroth, and combine it with like Al Cid and stuff like that, and it would still. I not off the top of my head. I think it would still trigger Al Cid because I don't think it says when it casts. I think it's just when it enters the field. So you still get the freeze off of it as well. So I think this card is something that's needed to like sort of stifle wind a bit and take it off of the top spot, if that makes sense. So I'm excited for it.
To just add, because I know some people talk about it again, just for people who are not so familiar with warp or the ins and outs. So we've got a few auto ability cancellers now. So obviously Amaterasu is sort of the main one everyone knows. We've got wind has Fina, which you discard from hand. I think you need 4 backups for that. So probably less
Wind
of it.
backups.
Wind backups. Probably less of an issue for an early Theodore. There's also a couple that have come this set. So there's a Leviathan, I think it is again, which is a summon that cancels autos. So just to clarify, so when the warp, when it gets removed from the field, the turn it comes back, it's basically there's like a warp activation auto. Is kind of the easiest way to describe it. So the turn it comes in from its warp, that is an auto ability triggering on the stack. So before it comes in, if you can cancel the warp part of it, its return, and then Theodore won't come on back onto the field at all.
So removing a counter is an auto ability essentially, and then when you go down to 0 counters, it would be like play this card onto the field, and that would be an auto ability, and then you can Fina that. I believe choose one, from a forward. So you can choose that and cancel it.
Yeah, or if you Amaterasu it, even though it was technically in a window between it being 9k, but if say this was like a 10k card, the Amaterasu damage doesn't really matter because you're cancelling it actually entering the field altogether. So it just if you can cancel an auto ability, you'll basically stop this entering, which could become relevant. Again, if you're playing mono fire and they Theodore turn 1 and you got Amaterasu, you're like, happy days. I'll just but then they haven't lost much doing it, so
yeah, exactly. Like you've paid 2 CP and a card from hand, and they've paid whatever they've done for a turn 2 or 3 Amat or Fina, or because Wind would have to get 4 backups out.
Yeah, more of a problem for Wind. But I was just trying to explain more that you can stop these warps happening altogether. Before we get too into it, but which it might have an impact on Theodore, but we'll see. Cool. All right, let's move on. It's going to be me next, isn't it? What have I got? Yuffie. So Yuffie, this is one of the new, because it's category 7. They've done even more collectible stuff as usual for these. So this is Yuffie. So with Yuffie, is this the only full art version, or is there another version of it without the signature? Because I feel like this is a special. So Yuffie's got a full art. There's also a special version which has the signature on it. I feel like that's an extra promo, like special.
Yeah,
I don't know.
think they said like it comes in like one every case, or maybe even more, like less. Right. Than that.
So I don't know if you get a full art Yuffie plus there's a full art with a sig, or if it's just there is that one. I'm not sure. But anyway, Yuffie's ability. So Yuffie is A 5 cost. This is the Wind Legend. Forward, Job Ninja. Has haste. When Yuffie attacks, activate all the forwards you control. Until the end of your opponent's turn, Yuffie gains 1000 power, and Yuffie cannot be chosen by your opponent's summons or abilities. She has a special ability which is called Doom of the Living. So that's a special +2 wind and a dull. Choose any number of forwards, divide 24,000 damage among them as you like. Units must be 1,000. What have I put for this? Yuffie. Okay, so I've given Yuffie an A. Mainly because it's in wind. If there's another element, would be sure. So it's very one-dimensional. This is very boring. Wind card activates everything. Can't be chosen. It's got haste and it's 9k. It's like everything wind doesn't really have, like the haste of the 9k, like the big bodies attacking. So it's just a bit dirty. So yeah, pretty boring, but it's very, very strong. I think this slots into wind decks. And you don't have to worry about the fact it's ninjas and category 7 and stuff, which is weird because normally a lot of the 7 stuff they put it in these big 7 packages, and they want them to like combo in, but this one is just like generically good wind card that just slaps in, fills a gap that wind doesn't massively have, but it's just a bit dirty really. That's all I have to say on Yuffie. Anyone
No,
want to say it's trash or it's good or?
Nah, you've nailed it. I went for a B on it. I did think it was an A, but
it's like an A. It's like an A, but it's just a bit boring. So give it a B. That's what I'd wanted to do, but I've kept it an A.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna be able to make its way into wind decks that are already running Bismarck, and if you're a bit pushed for deck space, you'd probably the first thing you'd cut would be the Yuffie because it does seem a little bit extra.
Win more, yeah.
Yeah, like it does seem a little bit over the top.
You just slot one in and pretend you're a genius, like deck builder. Yeah.
You could do, but then again, if you're only going to run one in a deck, is it really worthy of more than a B grade?
Yeah, maybe it's not.
It's not like the center focus of a deck. The fact that it's a ninja is a little bit irrelevant. Like you said, the fact that it's category 7, okay, it's cat 7, but it doesn't really fit in with all the rest of the cat 7 stuff. A little bit like the Fire Legend Squall didn't really fit in with any of the FFA stuff. It was just a generically good fire card. This is the equivalent of that, but a little bit worse.
Actually, I have got a card that I've got a B an A that I turned into a B. So maybe it could, maybe I could do Yuffie B, but no, I'll stick with A. Mitch, what did you put it in? A, did you say?
I've put it in A as well. Originally, I had this in C because I was like,
you were
would never sit.
Angry at wind, or
no?
I just didn't think it fit in anything.
I was just like, it will never make its way into wind decks. But then when you've got the Bismarck swing, I also didn't read it properly, and now I realised it activates itself as well. So if you run multiple, you can swing, do the effect. It can't be chosen, and then you can do Doom of the Living as well. It basically just works with Bismarck, and that's the reason I think it's strong. I do think it's also, it can be, if it turns out it's really good in wind, it can be searched as well, which is a big thing, because there's that Maina that searches a ninja, and also there's, I don't know how good they are. I know they were okay a while ago, but ninjas used to be a thing, and that would make this a 4 cost. I think anything that can make a card cheaper is always something to consider. So, I don't know, I said I've put it in A, literally because of Bismarck. But I think that's just because Bismarck is so good, more than Yuffie's good. But
that is actually like a beautiful thought that is ninjas down to a T. Is like shurikens for days, so you'd literally do Doom of the Living, do like 6k to 4 forwards, and then just finish them all off with shuriken counters from edge.
Yeah.
Like that is very nice flavor wise.
Yeah, that's quite cool. I mean, maybe that's probably the intention, because actually I'm more of looking at, you see the special and stuff, so it has kind of been designed to build around it, but I just sort of overlooked it because I just see it fitting in. I mean, it's a bit like we'll talk about later when we get to some of like the fire decks and stuff and like the multi elements, but it feels like when there's a very good card in a element that has a good like mono element, it's like, why would you play like Earth Fire? We'll talk about later. It's like, oh, you could be an interesting Earth Fire deck here, but why would you bother? Because Avalanche is way ahead of it, way ahead of everything if you're going to play Earth Fire. So why would you bother? And it's a bit how I feel with this Yuffie. It's like, oh, actually, yeah, and that Ninja could be cool, Ninja deck, but you sort of gloss over it because you know it's just going to slot in probably a mono wind element deck, so it sort of wastes it a bit.
Just something interesting to consider here. Would you grade it? Would you think of it as a better card if it was a 3-drop 7k with the same effects?
Yes.
Oh, that'd be monstrous, wouldn't it? If it was 3-drop 7k though.
I think it would be much better. And the fact it's a 5 cost, and the fact it's 9,000 is like a little bit irrelevant in a way. But if it was a lower powered, lower costed card, I'd feel a hell of a lot better about playing it. But the fact it's a 5 cost really kind of throttles it for me a bit.
But is 5 cost really that expensive for a wind deck? I don't think it is.
Swing with Atmos, untap 5.
Yeah, you play this.
Play a Yuffie, like.
Yeah.
It's the fact that it's got haste and you want it to swing that turn. It has to be the first thing that you do. So are you sacrificing anything by investing all of your backups into playing the Yuffie?
I mean, this could even party with Atmos.
Untap all forwards and backups.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Like, I don't know. As I said, we can make all this fun and games, but it's literally just
yeah.
It's your second activation phase. Go.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
You play this, swing with Atmos Bismarck, activate dull them all to ping.
Oh yeah, of course, because Bismarck's pinging off everyone dulling, isn't it? So you dull your board, ping the shit out of everyone, and activate them all and do it again. Yeah. Or attack through everything that's dead. Yeah, okay. I forgot about that part of it.
Yeah.
So
nice.
we've solved the meta. S tier, move on.
Yeah, this fun game is fun. Yeah, cool. All right, let's move on then. This is a hard one to follow then. So we're into Earth. So Galoof, popular character, I think. So Galoof is 4 cost. Earth forward. Brave. He's a Job Dawn warrior. When Galoof attacks, choose 1 forward opponent controls. Deal it damage equal to Galoof's power. And he has a remove 3 cards from the break zone, or from the break zone from the game. Galoof gains 3,000 power until the end of the turn. And then at damage free, Galoof gains 3,000 power. I think it's Mitch, Back to you. Go on then.
It's shit. No. I really want to like it, but I don't think there's ever been a good Galoof. And I really want to like this card. I've even thought about it, and I was like, if you can keep it alive, you can remove 3, and then that works with X-Death from the remove from play deck, and then it gains just 11 power. And I was like, oh yeah, it's really strong. And then you pay 4 CP, and I've heard it before. You pay a 4 CP black belt because it doesn't do anything. Like that's literally all it is. It's like there is literally cards that are 4 CP, 8k, no text, and that's what I see this as.
Wow.
It's just...
I mean, I've got on my notes. It's a bit slow, in fairness, but that's brutal. That's brutal from Rich. Oh bollocks! That's brutal. Go on then, Rich. Would you put it C, Mitch? Have you? Is this a C rank?
Yeah, C.
Oh, bollocks.
No, S.
S.
I've done C as well.
Oh dear.
For literally the exact same reason, because not only does it not do anything when it enters, and it's got a survivor turn, it's also got an attack. So your opponent doesn't even have to kill it; they just have to dull it, and then it's still useless.
It's not useless. Well, I've put A. This is my. There's always one card that you just go for and you like it, so you give it a stupid rating. So I'm going A. Mon the Galoof. That's what I'm saying.
We need to do like a recap and revisit in 6 to 8 weeks' time, and then review the grades. And I just want to measure on the scale how hard you facepalm when you realise.
No, I'm not. This is not a facepalm. So let's look at it. So
Tom has broken his nose with how hard he facepalmed.
So let me just like justify this here. So like Yuffie, it's obviously a very strong card. It's got lots of good text, but I don't really like playing wind. I've never been that interested in the wind element, so I'd never really play wind decks. So then don't interest me. But obviously and so then with Galoof, I like playing earth decks, and this one I think is alright if you get him rolling. It's pretty good. So you got to take the ones you like and pump them up a bit. So like I would rather probably get this in my booster box than Yuffie. Unless it's that signature one, I can like flog it off for 700 quid.
I
But
can sell it
yeah, buy four more booster box. So I would probably rather get a Galoof than a Yuffie because I'm more likely to use it. And if I was going to use Yuffie, it'd be like in a 7, like a wind something FF7, not wind, not. Oh no, it's Earthline in the later one, isn't it? So yeah, it would be like an 7. So yeah, so it just doesn't interest me. And this one, I'll try and give it a go, see where it doesn't, like if you had Prish last time, which we didn't rate that well, and that does stuff when it enters and attacks, kind of what this does. So that's 2-way though, isn't it? So yeah, we'll see. I'll give him a go. I'll give him a go. I want to like him. I kind of liked it when I saw it. I quite like those ones that do like the big damage on attack and stuff, like Braska's Aeon and stuff like that. Obviously, I'm not comparing this to Braska's Final Aeon in any way, shape, or any means, but I do like that kind of thing. So yeah, sticking with it. Galoof, you're my man. I've got your back. I got your back, boy.
You need to clip the audio and then play it in the recap episode, and you think this.
When I win Worlds in Japan, then I'll get Kageyama to sign my full art Galoof as it takes me to the like holy lands. All right, let's move on. I think we can all agree with this one. So whose turn is this? Is it Rich? Do you have Gilgamesh?
I've literally got the shitty end.
Ouch, man. I feel like I'm going to spend longer reading this one out than we are discussing it. But let's go. Gilgamesh, 4-cost Lightning, Praetorian. He's a category 8, which kind of explains some of this stuff. And a Mobius. He has haste. When Gilgamesh enters the field, you may remove any number of cards in your break zone from the game. When you do so, choose one forward of cost equal to or less than the number of elements among removed cards and break it. Damage free, Gilgamesh gains Brave, and Gilgamesh can attack twice in the same turn. Rich, I think it's you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah.
You can tell what the designers feel about this card when you realise that it's the only single element legend that didn't get a full art. So Faris Tiered or Yuffie, Gallus, Leonard got full arts, and they're like, oh, fuck it, it's Gilgamesh, can't be bothered.
Oh yeah, and it's a special illustration as well, isn't it?
So even Kageyama tell them that this is a fucking C tier card.
Cyranaki, you will never get another. That's your job. 1 and out. Sorry, man.
1 and done. He's 1 and done. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. I mean, theoretically, if it kills a 2-drop, it's still nice in a way. 4-drop, haste, 7k, damage 3 effect is really good. So it's not that terrible.
I mean, with haste on damage 3, you don't even need to worry about the top bit. You could come in and attack twice. Maybe that's not so bad. Yeah. What did you rank him as? I missed your ranking, Rich.
I did give him a C though, just because I don't think he's as good as the B tier cards, and I don't think he's great altogether.
He's no Galoof, is he?
I don't think he's better than Galoof. So, he enters the field and does something.
Oh, that's true.
But
he has that one, yeah.
I feel like the more you try and build a deck to maximize him, the worse your deck is going to be. So if you start running shit like tons of multi-elements so you can kill a 5-drop when he comes in, you're probably just building a really bad deck.
Yeah.
And that's why I gave him a C.
I have just realised he's category 8, and I sort of completely overlooked that. So there's the new Sid Kramer, which is plays like he can do a different element category 8 deck. As long as you see Sid Kramer. So he Headmaster Sid. I think if you play a category 8 forward, he can produce any element of CP to pay for it.
Lightning anyway.
Lightning.
No, but I mean, so Sid works is lightning, but then it means you can put some other category 8. So there's like ice and fire. That's probably all there is actually. Oh, there's wind, isn't there? The monsters.
Yeah.
So you could, if you wanted, you could do. I don't know if that's the angle he's going for by putting it in the category 8, so that you can have like a multi-element, like seed candidate packaging. There's like 2 of them. maybe, I don't know. I feel like he probably didn't even consider that. Just bunged in. Gilgamesh always has multi-element stuff. I don't even remember Gilgamesh in Final Fantasy VIII.
He's the one who
Oh, he
kills
turns in
Odin.
it. Spoilers. Oh no, doesn't it? He comes in
I'm
as
30 years old.
He
Everyone,
comes in
yeah,
at
everyone who plays this game loves Final
Yeah, yeah.
Fantasy. If they don't know
That's
that,
true. That's true. Yeah, fair enough. That's fair enough. Well, people got angry when Opus One Aerith said she was an ancient, job ancient. That pisses people off. So,
Just
yeah,
one thing
I've just
to
remembered. Yeah,
focus
so
on,
he comes in. Odin comes in, doesn't he, and gets ciphered,
yeah.
and then he turns into Gilgamesh. That's right. I remember now.
So just to touch upon the fact that he's Mobius as well, so he's searchable by Echo in Wind.
Yeah,
and you can play him free off of a wall.
the free.
it WoW?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the 6-drop wall that plays
Yeah.
in Mobius. You wouldn't play this one though, would you? Wall.
Well, you might do because that Mobius deck ran random color cards. Like if you removed,
Yeah.
it. And I'm
Here we go.
No, but you'd- there's
There's
all- There's
so-
all the big boys though, isn't it? You'd try and maximise one of the big boys off that wall, and then just play this for cost 4.
well,
I
because
don't
what
know.
I'm thinking, like, don't get me wrong. I
Well,
don't
maybe
think
we're over.
card's
This is
good.
a C. We've all rated it C. Maybe we're overthinking it.
all rated.
We'll
yeah,
see. Someone, I think this.
But-
Some people will have. Some people will make like a fun deck with this, with lots of colours, and it might do all right, and it'd be a bit fun. But yeah, I'm not sure. But actually, depending on your lightning decks, so like if you Alcided this in at damage 3, you can then attack twice,
Yeah.
and you don't even need to worry about all the other stuff. Well, you could break a 2-drop, couldn't you? So maybe, yeah,
I mean,
maybe you
well,
could
as I said, if you're running like light and darks as well, you can remove 3 to break a 3 cost. The only thing that's
Wow.
I find
Stretching there.
interesting. No, but the only thing
Yeah.
I find interesting is it says you may remove any number of cards. So again, that builds into the X Death deck. I don't know how good it is, but if you just like sod it, remove all of my
Remove
break
all of
zones.
Remove 9 lightning cards and 1 ice card and break a
Yeah.
2-drop.
Yeah, but then
Or
you're like,
break
okay, and then I
Luso.
play X Death because now I've removed everything. You could. This makes way for a good lightning legend. let's just end it on that.
Maybe it just goes to speak as to how good some of the other legends are that this ends
No,
up
don't
being
try and
the
play
idea.
rescue
We're
it.
actually, when we are actually all sort of talking ourselves into the fact that it might not be as crap as we first thought.
Yeah, I mean,
I think there's a way to make this work, but
Is
it's
it
making
worth
it work. Is it worth it? Is it
Yeah.
worth playing a shitter deck to make a bang average card good?
mate, I'm going for a Galoof deck, so there's hope for everyone. No, that's cool. Right, let's move
Just
into
not- just
water.
not you.
Just not me. That's by the by. Let's move into water. Is it my turn? I think it's me, isn't it? Oh, okay. Right, Lena is the water legend. So Lena is a free CP forward. She's job princess and warrior of light, category 5. All cards in your break zone cannot be removed from the game by your opponent's summons or abilities. And then she has the ability remove 12 water cards in the break zone from the game. Choose 1 water forward in your break zone, play it onto the field. You can only use this ability during your turn. What have I done for Lena? Oh, I'm giving it an S tier. I've changed my mind. The break zone, I didn't realise you could only remove water cards from the break zone. So I normally mark them down when they're sort of mono focused. This is mine, but no, I think this is good. I'm not sure about the art. I know people like this art, sort of the dragon nuzzling thing. It's a little bit too risque for me. But yes, I've given her S. I should probably say why she's good. Yeah, it's good effects. I think the break zone thing is quite relevant at the moment. I think you would play it on the turn you want to do the big removal thing. So I know people are talking as like the sort of the obvious combo is you play Lena and then you remove 12 cards and play Leviathan in, which is obviously solid. I think it's good. I mean, another aspect of it, you could play Lena in. You could then pay for the Leviathan to load up your break zone, because obviously Leviathan costs 9, so you could go in all that way, go all in, and then get something else back and play more stuff. So you can like do a big spread of the board on this one. So yeah, I think it's good. I think there's not much more to say on this one really. Mono Water's looking pretty good at the moment. It's got some good stuff this set. Obviously, it had that sort of really toxic, bouncy one, didn't it? The Mashery deck.
Okay.
So it could be a bit toxic, but yeah, I think it's good. I don't know about the princess aspect. That's usually quite a relevant job. We've got Princess Sarah that searches princess, isn't it? Or is it just Sarah?
Queen Bran. Is Queen Bran
Queen
such a princess?
Bran. Yeah. It does
I
something
think
when
so.
the princesses die. I don't know if it searches one.
You can pay 2 and bounce a forward to hand.
Does it search one? I'm not sure if it searches one. Possibly it does. It does something.
It definitely searches a king.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so you got double
No,
search.
it doesn't search a king. When a king or a princess goes to the break zone, pay 2 to bounce it.
Because I remember you used to be able to search
When it
Ash,
enters
the Ash
field,
Legends.
you can search a princess.
So you can search. So yeah, I think it's all fairly relevant for its thing, and it's powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Anyone got anything to add on that?
As I said, I think it's very linear in what it can do. I think the first line of text is pointless. Why, like, you don't want to leave it there to just die if you're not going to remove anything. And you're probably going to play it down and remove 12
Before they do anything anyway.
Yeah, the only thing that I suppose it does do is make it a safe thing, like you remove 12 and then they can't miss dragon in response to that. That's the only thing that makes it.
It's safeguarding its other ability, and that's shit.
Yeah, as I said, it's literally for that when it enters the field. I wouldn't play this and be like, yeah, I don't want you to remove my stuff, sort of thing.
I mean, I do find it interesting that last set they released X Death, which is category 5, which gets stuff from removing all your stuff from the break zone from the game, and then now they've released a category 5 card that goes, no, you don't.
But let me remove 12 anyway.
But, yeah. It's separate from that second effect. Maybe it's a little bit of flavour there that they wanted to give that effect to a category 5 card that just goes, no, you don't, X Death.
Yeah.
No. So does XF choose 10 from each break? Because just to clarify, so with these you can't, like Miss Dragon, it can't protect from Miss Dragon because Miss Dragon doesn't choose cards. Or does it? Oh yeah, it can't be removed from the game.
Yeah, there's another card that says can't be chosen. Like you can't choose.
Oh, okay, is that the one I'm getting?
That's the backup that also says that your forwards can't have their power reduced by.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I'm getting mixed up. Okay, this does protect from Miss Dragon.
Yeah.
So if you predict an X-Def deck, you go early on this. But then they just X-Def their own stuff. It doesn't really matter anyway, does it?
Yeah. Or they just kill this.
Or they just kill this, yeah. and then you eat it.
It's a 7k.
That's true. No, you're right. It's because you got that. You want to play this and then do the effect. So you're going big.
Yeah.
Big
Mitch,
on Lena.
What grade did you give this?
I put this as an A.
Yeah, I went A as well, just because it takes a while to come online, because you have to have 12 cards in your break zone to remove in the first place. And then it might even take longer to come online if you want to keep some of those 12 cards, because you like them. Like Waterhead likes having access to his break zone, so if you've got Porums and Summons and stuff like that, you might not want to remove 12. So it might actually take quite a long time to come online for you to want to ditch 12, or you've got nothing worth summoning in there, you've not got a Leviathan, or you've not got the new 6-drop Ash, so you just think, well, it's not worth it. So you could be holding on to this for ages for it to be useful.
Yeah, and if they're mono water, you know this is coming at some point. They're gonna Lena Leviathan. So a bit like the Theodore, you get a tsunami warning early on, and you just need to be mindful of it. But
I know everyone's on the Leviathan hype train, but you could also do something like if you did Marsh, you could get like a 2-cost out, so you're spamming the field. You could do Thancred. You could do Ramsar. There's a lot of forwards that I think have been overlooked just because Leviathan looks like the one. But
you could do Faris, the new one. Was it double? Oh no, it was just fire, wasn't it? I thought it was multi-element. That's the old Faris that was good.
Yeah, well, yeah,
because it fits in with the Warrior of Light as well. But then you've got to have 12 water cards in the break zone. I guess the fire water Warrior of Light was a lot of multi-colour stuff, wasn't it? Oh no, that's Knights. I'm getting mixed up again. I'm just going to stop talking. It's mono water card, this one.
Yeah, but then as I said, you could run Thancred and just have the water aspect of it, because then you could get the Thancred back, and then because you only got water characters, you could probably pick whatever cards in your break zone anyway. So there are other cards. I'm not saying you would go Thancred over Leviathan, but it's always an option. Like if you had the nine characters, you could go Lena, Thancred, Leviathan, and then look like the dog's bollocks when actually you're running Thancred. So maybe it's not a great idea.
Is Thancred not based on Scions, or is it? Oh no, it's just the water
Just
characters.
Yeah, water characters.
So yeah, that's a big play.
Did you rate it A as well, Rich?
Yeah.
So
I went A as well.
AAS. Oh, I don't really like picking this. I always get this. It's rarely that I have a card that scream S to me, and then so I just end up just going for something that looks pretty good. And so I gave it an S. I don't not particularly excited by it or want to play it.
I mean, what's funny is that we are 6 cards in, and you've used 3 A's and an S already, so you're about to be a mega downer for the next hour.
Yeah, the dual elements where the good cards are.
So here we go. As you say that, I've clicked the screen onto the multi-element. So yeah, normally you get 2 legends per element. Multi-element is back. We thought it was gone. We thought it was just a little fling. But he's come back. He's like, no, this is an important part of the game, and they're all back. When they last came out, a couple of them were like mega busted in comparison to the sort of power level of the other things. So yes, they are back. Mitch, I think it's your turn, isn't it? With Axstar. Let me read him out. I think you like this one. So Axstar, he's a fire ice multi-element. So just to clarify, if you're new to this, multi-element means you have to pay at least 1 CP of each element if you're paying the cost to play this. So Axstar, he is a warrior, FFBE, forward. When Axstar enters the field, dull and freeze all the forwards other than cost 3. When Axstar enters the field, you may play 1 fire or ice forward of cost 3 or less onto the field. When Axstar enters the field or attacks, choose 1 forward opponent controls, deal it 3,000 damage for each forward of cost 3 you control. Mitchell, take it away.
Yeah, I'm not sure on this card.
Ooh, okay.
I have no idea. There's been a few cards, like this could either be, like, it's not S tier, but it could either be A tier, B tier, C tier. I genuinely don't know how to feel about this card. I don't like the idea that you're forcing your deck to play like basically only 3 costs, but all of the effects are pretty good here. I've put it. As I said, it's more. I'm just don't know what to say about it. It's really a weird card.
There's a lot of effects and they happen all the time. It's like, enter the field, do this, attack, do this anyway. Oh, let's do this, yeah.
Like, it enters the field and does all this crap. And then, like, so that means, like, Amat's not very good against it because you cancel 1, it's still getting the other 2. And then, like, you kill because you'll always be, well, for the most part, you'll be doing 6k to a forward as well because you play a forward down, a 3 cost down, and the Axar will deal damage on resolution, which means if you stack it right, Axar plays the forward and then does another extra 3k. So it comes in, does 6k, plays a 3 cost, and dull and freezes everything, which sounds crazy on paper, but as I said, it's forcing you to play 3 costs. I've put it as a B, but only because I have no idea what to do with it. Like
okay.
I don't know if it's good. I'd like to think it's good, but then the more 3 costs you play, the more you're playing into like certain cards like Exodus or that new, I think it's Ixion and stuff like that. I think it's
okay.
You wanna play 3 costs, but then it makes your deck so weak. Like especially with Soirees becoming a thing. They were all 4 cost. So cards like I think it was Alchemist that you choose a number and they can't attack, and Avalanche, they're all 3 cost. So those sort of cards were good. This plays into that sort of same logic. This does fuck all against Avalanche. It's, don't know. I'm really not sure. As I said, I don't know what to do. Please move on.
He's running. He's running.
Yeah.
He's repeating himself.
So
I need an adult.
all of that. So all of that, and you've sat on the fence with B. Which,
Yeah.
where did you go?
I also went for a B. I feel
B.
like
So
this
you
could
sat
be
on
a
the fence
really,
as well.
really... And no, I think it's a really fun card. I just don't think that necessarily makes it a good card. It does require the whole deck to be built around it. I think there's very little synergy to be had on the warrior front, on the job and the category front, being FFBE as well. So it really only just does what it does on the tin. And that makes it a little bit harder to grade higher. But I just did a quick search. You've got a choice of 133 forwards that you can play off of the effects that are fire and ice free costs. So there's plenty of options.
Megisa target. Don't know if that's
Whether
relevant.
any of them are any good. Yeah, because I mean, you can do all the dual element cards as well. You can technically play like the new Arciella or the new Bash off of it, Bosh off of it. So, you know, you can do stuff. It's
Bashu is also a Megisa target.
Yeah. So
It's a
as
bit
Mitch
boring
said,
just to
like
say because it costs free. Put it in a Megisa deck, though, isn't it? A bit lame.
like how
Shall I read you
efficient
my
is it?
note? Shall I read you my notes on this?
Yeah, go on.
So I've given it a C, and I've said I hate this, but I don't know why. And that's honestly, I just don't know. I don't like it. No idea. I also like how the art, he's dressed like a samurai, but for some reason, Kageyama has refrained himself from giving it job samurai, which is very, very strange for him, because I thought he'd be all over this, giving him another samurai.
I don't know what his previous job was. Let's have a look. His previous job was mercenary for the old legend. So he's had a career change.
He's always been dressed like that. It's not like an alternative costume set. I think that was his previous one. He clearly looks like a samurai to me.
I don't know. He's been on Indeed.com and he's gone and got himself a job
New
change.
job.
So, yeah.
Which is strange because like 90% of every other card in this set is called an Avalanche Operative. We don't even know who they are. So, yeah, good bit of restraint there to not make this a samurai. Cool. So what we've got? B, B, and C.
Yeah.
We'll see this one.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see much of this.
So you're saying that Galuf is better than Axstar, which I fundamentally disagree with.
No, we're not going to go through this every time we rate a card. Galuf, I was more interested in. Did I give it an A? I did give it an A, actually. Yeah, fair play. I mean, I have no interest in Axstar. Does nothing for me. I don't know why. It just doesn't do anything for me. And then Galuf, I was like, oh yeah, I could play that.
All I'm saying is that you've now sent a benchmark as to how much we're allowed to overestimate a card, and now everything is compared against that benchmark.
You're also trying to imply that anything I say has any kind of credence or value to anyone else who might possibly be listening to this. If I didn't used to do it, I used to just sit in the background and get everyone else to talk about the cards, and then for some reason I now have my own way to talk about them. So I should just stick to that.
On the front lines now.
Exactly.
Now you're worried you're getting shot at.
Big player. Right. Bash. Rich, this is you. Oh, that's good because you love FF12. Let me go through Bash. So he is a Earth Fire. 3 CP forward. Judge. When Bash enters the field, you may receive 1 point of damage. When you do so, search for one Fire or Earth character other than card name Bash and add it to your hand. On damage 3, he gains 1000 power and brave. And on damage 5, when he attacks, choose one forward opponent controls, deal it 8000 damage. And he's a 7000 damage forward. Go on then, Rich. Been waiting a long time for a good Bash card. Is this the one?
I've given it an A. It annoys me that this is probably going to get played into Avalanche decks. Which is annoying because I don't think that's quite what they intended. But it's good on multiple fronts. It's good because it allows you to search a character. So if you're struggling for backups, just go fetch a backup, preferably a backup that searches a backup, and then you can kind of get the ball rolling.
You can search Barrett if you fail to draw the other 6 search cards in your deck for Barrett.
That's what I mean.
Turn 2 Barrett is real.
It's so annoying that like everyone's just going to view this as like an Avalanche enabler. And probably hate it for that exact reason as well. The other thing is that it dealing a point of damage to yourself is never good in this game, but your life is a resource and you are getting something from it. It also allows you to then set up other damage 3 abilities that you may have, which is always really annoying if you've got something that triggers on damage 3 and you're not quite there yet. You know, this is going to assist that. The only thing is I don't really know if any good fire or earth cards have damage threshold effects. I'm trying to search it, but FFTCG is not complying. So yeah, I gave it an A because it's another one where it's generically a good card. You could run that in any fire earth deck and just be very happy with the net result.
So you went A. Mitch, what did you go for with? Is it
I went-
Barsh or Bash? Barsh.
Bosh.
Barsh.
Bosh.
Barsh.
The first line to me says, when Bash enters the field, you may receive 1 point of damage. When you do so, search Barrett. That is literally, that is literally what it does. But so I've put this as S because it's that simple.
Just pushes
but-
Barrett further.
But one thing I have considered, and I don't know how well it would work, but if they can do it, it would make this deck a lot stronger. In that you could play this if you played it early, and then in monks, and then search the Yang. You've now put yourself on 1 point of damage, so then you get the Yang effect to play another monk. From I presume
Nice.
that's right.
Yeah, he's damage 1. He plays a 3 monk.
Yeah. So, as I said, if like I know there's a few monks in fire, so I don't know if that's something that they would.
Yeah, they're not.
Do,
It's
like,
like,
you've got
they're not
the
great
Sabin
though, are they?
and
Oh, Sabin and Duncan.
Yeah, I mean,
You can search the
I said that-
Duncan special.
yeah. Like, why would you?
I'm
But-
joking.
But yeah, as I said, if you were to just put some fire in it, like make it mono earth and maybe like Tyro and Shantotto and stuff like that, and then play this, you get because monks have always struggled to do that first point of damage to themselves. Because if you see a monks, you just don't put them on any damage, then Yang doesn't do anything. So I think that's a good way to set this up. But as everyone said, it's primarily search Barrett done. Which
Yeah.
is annoying, but
I mean, that's what I put him as an A because I think it seems cool. It seems quite fun. I think probably because it's Barsh and we've been waiting. There's certain characters that people have been waiting a long time to get decent cards for, or even a card for. So it sort of fits into that slot. But yeah, we talked about it earlier. So Earth Fire, I've always thought it'd be cool to do an Earth Fire. 2 elements I like combining. They've never really had that. It's like obvious option or good package, apart from obviously Avalanche, and then you're in the zone. Well, why do I spend loads of time try and make a cool Earth Fire deck? I might as well just play Avalanche because it's going to be infinitely better. So that's a problem that this will have. So yeah, I'm just going to go A because it appealed to me. But searching a character is always good, so that's pretty cool. But not Barrett. Search something else. Because you'd have drawn. You've already searched Barrett.
You
So
degenerates.
You can get whatever else you like. Whatever Avalanche operative you've not got in your hand.
yeah.
And or the one that searches all the other one. They all search
Yeah,
each
why-
other
why
ultimately,
limit
don't they? So
Yeah, why limit yourself to Barrett when you can hit Wedge or Biggs or Jesse?
or
You can even
Cloud
get the
or
Cloud.
Tifa
Yeah.
or Marlene.
Or Billy Bob, whatever.
Yeah, Billy Bob.
Actually, I think there is one called Billy Bob.
Yeah, there is.
There
Like, who
is,
the
it's
fuck
new
is
one,
Billy
yeah.
Bob?
yeah.
Honestly,
And he's Earth. You actually can search him with this.
unbelievable. I didn't really want to talk about Avalanche operatives, but I just who are all these Avalanche operatives? Obviously, it's remake. They've pulled them out of the air from the remake somewhere, but seriously, man, like unbelievable.
You know the scraping bottom of the barrel when it's Billy Bob comes in.
Billy Bob. Well, it's that.
There's going to be voices from the higher ups, isn't there? There's going to be some manager somewhere in the Square Enix offices that basically tells Kageyama he's going to get fired unless he puts like a new at least 2 or 3 Avalanche operatives, and everything must be about FF7 remake.
FF7, FF7.
I know, it's just a bit fucking tiring by this point.
Yeah, I mean, I do this every podcast, and I always say I won't do it we saw Category 8 a bit earlier. Obviously, they're in a bit of a rough space as usual. We've got some Category 8 coming this time with like the Cypher and the Disciplinary Committee, right? So Avalanche Operative, the first like hour of the game, forget the remake, first hour or so of the game, you're in the Avalanche Operative party. There's still only a few of them that get mentioned. Yet they've somehow pulled out like 20 out of their arse that exist, right? In Final Fantasy VIII, the Seed and the Seed candidates, you're literally a whole school of people who you interact with for hours throughout the game, right till the end. You're in a whole school. There's two schools, because there's Balam and Galbadia, whatever it is. There's two schools. They have a big off fucking fight, a war between them. There's hundreds of people. You can go round, talk to them, play cards with them. We've seen none of them. Yeah, he's pulled 20 Avalanche Operatives out of his butt, and we don't even see them. It's just mad. It's madness. It's madness to me.
There is your
there it is, done.
The episode.
I won't talk about category anymore, but it just baffles me.
You think that's bad? In fucking Final Fantasy IX, there is a playable character in Blank and Marcus who still don't have cards, and these fucking Billy Bob and like they're genuinely playable characters, but yeah, they still don't have a card.
I mean, admittedly, I've only played sort of halfway through Final Fantasy IX. I can't remember that, but I do remember you spend more time with the what they called Tantalus. Yeah, you spend more time with them than you do with the Avalanche Operatives in that game, and there's a lot of them, like in that bloody wood, the like Mistwood or whatever it is. That's longer than the whole fucking Midgar section, and yet no, they do not exist. There's no synergy. Unbelievable. It's just madness to me. Just oh well. Sorry, Bash. We've taken away from you. Has everyone rated Bash?
We've all rated him, and he's rated highly.
Yeah, S-A and
all right, that's it. Final Fantasy VIII is done for another podcast. We'll move on. Melvian. This is a Wind Ice legend. 4-cost Melvian, category 11. Minister of Finance. When Melvian enters the field, so he's got a warp 1. It's an ice and a wind. When Melvian enters the field, choose up to 2 backups and up to 2 other backups. Activate the former and freeze the latter. When Melvian is put from the field into the break zone, you may remove Melvian from the game. When you do so, place 2 warp counters on Melvian. Rich, I think we're... No, it's Mitch, isn't it? Back to Mitch.
No,
unless you want to...
You.
Is it me? Didn't I do Bash?
No, Rich did Bash. And
I did Bash.
No, bollocks, it's me.
That's how long ago it was.
I've given him a C because I just think this is really boring. I don't like it. Again, Wind Ice doesn't interest me, so this doesn't interest me. I think he's probably good. I know people are going to play this, and like Aslan at Calamity plays Wind Ice. I think it's because he built it like 4 years ago and he hasn't been since. So whenever he turns up, he's always got his Wind Ice. When that gets rocking, you spend the whole game frozen and hit the whole rest of the game with them active. This goes with that. What's it called? The one that pings everyone. The multi-element when they activate. Is he category 10?
Yeah.
The one that pings everyone when it activates. When stuff activates.
The FF10-2.
He's at Albed. Is it Albaralai? That's it. Baralai. I just find this one a bit boring. I'm not that interested in it. It's quite cool the way that it keeps re-warping and stuff. So when it dies, you just bring it back. It's going to be the people who build this well will make a really like sick deck that will be quite toxic and it won't be fun to play against. But for me, that will not be me because one, I probably won't be able to build it properly, pilot it properly, and I just reckon I won't enjoy this one. So I gave it a C just because it doesn't interest me, not because it's probably bad. Who's rated this really highly? Probably Mitch actually. Quite like the fire.
That's me. That's me looking at my A.
Licking up the. Go on then.
Yeah. So it's a weird card because it enters the field at the beginning of your main phase 1, so you don't have time to cast anything. So you're gonna have to.
If you're saying if you warp it? or just generally?
So,
Okay.
yeah, well, yeah.
So do you always want to warp this? Sorry, I'm like breaking down before you even said what it means. Do you want to warp
No,
this card, or you want to just play it?
you can just. I would just maybe even just play it. I mean, because then it becomes a 2 cost. I think that's fine. It's like, but obviously when it dies, it comes back with the warp on it. So I think, as I said, it's a weird card because that's the effect that you're going to get off more, and you need to be able to stack something on top of it. Luckily, all Wind Ice decks run Chocolate, so that's going to be fine. Maybe if they start running Edward as well, then you can remove a card, draw, like tap to draw, activate 2 and freeze 2. As I said, it's also in that weird spot where it's similar to Aerith, where you want to run like you want to see it, but then after the first copy, you don't really care about it anymore. So I like, as I said, I like it. I think it's a good card. Wind Ice is a very good deck, and all Wind Ice cards sort of have their purpose, I find. So this probably will just be a one-off in a deck, but it will be a good inclusion, I think.
Rich, you're the, as we said, you're the category 11 maestro. Is this flavoursome? Does he make people stand up and some people sit down, or like? Does this fit with him, or is it a bit random?
I skipped most of the story because of the duelings. I actually don't know Melvian's involvement.
Okay.
I've gone straight down the middle of the pair of you. I've gone for a B, and that's purely because it's hard to fully comprehend how annoying that effect is going to be until we've witnessed it. Because he's not dulling and freezing the backups, he's only freezing the backups, which means they have to be dull in the first place. That might not always be the case. You might be able to activate them in response to it. It's a little bit rough. He's a 4-drop, so he's within the range of the Palom legend. That means that they could switch the ability off and then kill him. Or 1-drop Gooch can wipe all his abilities and kill him. So it's a little bit difficult. It might take me getting screwed over once or twice by the card to actually come around on it. Maybe there's a really filthy deck you can do with the hope, the dual element hope, so that when you dull, when a dull character you control becomes active due to your summon's abilities, choose up to 2 characters you control, activate them, so then you can kind of stack the Chocolate really weirdly. And like, I don't know, it's a really difficult card to gauge, so because of that I've just gone with a B.
Yeah, I think that's where I was sort of coming from. It's that, as Mitch said, it's that deck does all that stuff quite well already. So if you're into that, you'll be into this, and if you're not, it's just a Does warp doesn't count as casting, does it? When they warp enter, so lock is affected by cast, isn't it? I mean, so that's kind of good. Some kind of like long-term vision in that. Well done on the rulings when they changed all that cast stuff. Cool, let's move on. Rich, you get Sephiroth.
Mitch.
Oh, is it Mitch?
I'll happily talk about it. But...
Mitch gets Sephiroth. So this is the Ice Lightning. Sephiroth, another legend. Always a popular legend, Sephiroth's. 4-cost. The underutilized back attack. When Sephiroth enters the field, choose 1 dull forward opponent controls. Break it. When Sephiroth attacks, select one of the 2 following actions. Your opponent discards a card. Choose 1 forward of cost 2 or less. Break it. He is 8,000 power. Category 7, obviously. Did I say it was Ice Lightning, dual element? I think I did. Mitch, where have you ranked Sephiroth?
So, I was actually discussing this card yesterday with Rich, and I said, I don't think Ice Lightning is that good, but I think this is the best legend out of all of them. So, I did say I was going to go A, but I actually think the more I think about it, I feel like Ice Lightning has got a lot this set with Theodore and Gilgamesh. No. With
a one-off. So... As a one-off.
even then, you don't play FF8 cards in this game, I'm afraid. So yeah, I've rated this an S. Every single line of this card is like amazing. I think it does what Ice Lightning needs. It breaks a forward. It like breaks cheap little forwards that are always annoying, which is one thing I've always felt Ice has struggled with. Is break like they have these big. I'm gonna break a card, and it costs like 7, and then you've got this little 2-drop. And you're like, I don't want to pay 7 to break a 2-drop, if that makes sense. So this, I think, really does help it. As I said, there's back attack that you can just. I think this card is just absolutely crazy. So yeah, S easy.
Rich.
Yep, easy. So I've gone for an S as well.
Oh, wow.
Just because there's so many, it does so much. It's a little bit like Axstar, where like every line of text is good within its own right. So it's back attack, so you can essentially have a surprise blocker and kill something with it, as well as breaking a dull forward when it enters. And if your opponent doesn't deal with it straight away, okay, well, I'm just gonna. The thing that really puts the cherry on top is the fact that it has a modal on attack effect. So it's not just when Sephiroth attacks get this effect. It's you can have either one of these, and they're both very useful. So it's just it's just an unbelievably good card, no matter when you play it and what you're doing with it. So I went for an S straight away, and I had to talk Mitch around to giving it an S, and he finally caved in. So,
well, the argument was that this was always the best legend, but Ice Lightning was what brought it down. But then Rich discussed with me and said that's not a valid enough reason. And then I looked at all the other cards, and I was like, yeah, this is just better than every other card. So.
Also, I'm surprised that you're not higher on it because it's the Kingdom Hearts Sephiroth.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love that. I'm gonna be getting 3 of this.
No full art on this one. I guess probably not worthy of it. If they didn't do Gilgamesh on a full art, you're not gonna get on this. Although they did Cloud, didn't they? The Kingdom Hearts Cloud had a full art, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a box topper.
Box topper, yeah. So do you want me to tell you something? Lower the tone. No, I did give this an S as well.
Oh, okay.
So
I was wondering where your other S went.
This is my other S. Yeah, not much more to say on this. It's sick all round. It's wicked.
So what we've done is given this the kiss of death, because I think every
No,
time
I think
give
it's
a card
cool.
3 S's, we gave Glaciella an S, and she ended up kind of falling flat on her face a little bit. So this means Sephiroth is doomed. This.
I think it's too good to be doomed. I think.
If you can make Ice Lightning work, I think this card is the reason.
Yeah.
That's
why I'm
going to stamp that.
As you said, there's some.
Bang the gavel.
There's options now. Ice Lightning was lacking a bit in some areas. It's had some more stuff come through, and there's options now, and you can fill it with some of these new power cards. So you probably do pretty well. It won't be like a sort of top tier like meta defining deck, but you can do some good stuff with this. Yeah, it's cool. I like the fact that the 2 cost doesn't have a dull restriction, which is always Ice's problem. You always have to be dull with this, so you can just break stuff out. Rich, you're obsessed with the 2-drop meta, 2-drop 9Ks that just seem to exist everywhere. So
my favorite card has always been Zalbag, because I thought it was okay in Opus 1, and then just as more and more meta-relevant 2-drops get involved, it still grows in relevance nowadays. So when it was Palom, Porum, Rydia, Marchery, all that shit, it just slapped down a Zalbag, and people are like, what does this card do? So yeah, especially in like a night deck as well, it's been sick. But yeah, so I love breaking 2-drops. That's how they grab my attention in this game, is they tell me they break the 2-drop, and I instantly slap an S mark on it.
Approval.
I mean, just to add on, I've seen with this new hash mail that it gives everything 7k, so like you can get Sophie, like the old water Sophie, straight up to 10k as soon as she enters, and then you can back attack it. It's like, get wrecked. So that's cool. So yeah, no, it's wicked. I was sort of, when this was like the first S choice, it was quite obvious for me, and then I was like, oh, I don't want to give Sephiroth an S. It's just like a bit boring. Sephiroth and Cloud, and they're always like the really good cards. But no, it's cool. Very cool. It's good. Well done, Kageyama. did a good job. Right, Fran, I'm going to take that full off. Oh, it's a bit obscene there. I'll stick with the normal version. Fran. So this is Earth, Wind. Whose go is this?
Me.
I've lost this rich. Cool. Oh, you've got all the 12s today. So
I know.
Fran, a free drop forward, 8,000 power. So Sky Pirate, Earth, Wind, multi-element. If you control a card named Balfir, Fran gains 1,000 power and Brave. When Fran enters the field or attacks, you may play one category 12 character of cost 4 or less from your hand onto the field. I'll put it back onto the full art version. Go on then, Rich.
So I went with an A for Fran, which is probably my overestimation. This is my Galuf. This is my overestimation.
This is your Galuf, okay.
Yeah.
It's better than Galuf.
It's partially because it's category 12, and it's like a slightly different angle on Sky Pirate, which I quite like. So I did a search before we looked. It's not the exact maths, but you have 96 potential targets that you can play off of when Fran enters the field, category 12 of cost 4 or less from your hand onto the field. There's 96 targets, but that that includes Frans. So you have to delete. You have to remove all the Frans from that. So you're probably actually a little bit closer to 86.
I was going to say 40 of them called Varn.
A lot of Varns are actually quite high costed, which is really annoying. So the 4 or less, but it's annoying, the element combination, why they've decided to put Sky Pirate as Wind Earth as opposed to Wind Water. Not that Wind Water Sky Pirates needed any more kind of support, but it just seems like a bit of an awkward choice of where to play it. But then it kind of makes sense it's in the element that has the multi-element forward searcher. I can never remember the name. It begins with an M or a V.
Oh, I know you mean.
Vigali. Yeah, so it's in the element with Vigali.
The Barrett searcher.
It does have a bit of synergy that's pre-existing with Mjörn and Jote. The backup's one that could search Fran, the other one searches the Jote. So if you draw the Fran, play the Mjörns to search the Jote, like that's a nice little package to have going. You've got the Gabranth that searches a 5 cost or higher. So there is nice Wind Earth cards to play with it that are in the element, and then there's also some multi-element, some off-color ones that you can run as well.
The new Bash.
Not bad. The new Bash.
Yeah.
So it would be a better card if it wasn't Wind Earth, but I still really like it. It's a 3-drop 8k, and it gets that little bonus from Balthier. There's a Balthier that when it enters the field, it gets the Sky Pirate from your of 2 or less from the break zone onto the field. So there's options. Maybe it will get stronger over time. Now tell me that I've gone over the top with it.
Bitch, could you want to do that? You normally revel in that sort of thing.
Let me warm up my hands. Here we go. So I put this card as C.
Ooh.
I think that last effect is good if it wasn't Earth. Because the Earth 12 pack-like side is utter garbage. I just did a quick look. There are 11 forwards, 6 backups in Earth that are FF12. 3 of them cost more than 4. 4 of them are Begannan. 5 of them are Gabranth. So that is 9 cards out of your 17 that cannot be.
But it doesn't specify that it has to be of Wind or Earth. So you can run the off-color ones and.
Okay, I will concede that there is Earth, and maybe Earth Fire might be a better place for this, because you've got the Shantotto that can get Wind, Fire. Sorry, Wind.
It
or
taps
Earth cards.
for Wind, doesn't it?
Yeah, taps for Wind, and it gets that.
You're not going to see this, are you, on the top 5?
No, and as I said, I
and
just don't.
you want Balthier as well, don't you?
Yeah, you want Balthier.
Yeah,
as I said,
he's only Wind, right? Yeah, but this is the one I put as an A and then turned the A into a B on my notepad. But let me just remind you, when this was revealed, I sent a message in the group chat and I said, "Oh, here's the Fran. They hate a Fran legend because they're always a bit rubbish." And Mitch was like, "Read it. It's amazing. It's ridiculous." It seems like you've
It will
backtracked
be.
quite heavily.
No, it will be.
Admittedly, I didn't realize it did it on attack.
Eventually.
I didn't realize
Yeah.
it did it on attack as well. So you've got that ongoing
Yeah. So
on the
thing
field
is,
and
like,
attack. That is cool.
when it enters, you can play the kites, which seems pretty good. And then if it survives a turn, what are you doing? What am I going to be playing with this? There's like you've got the Balthier as you said, but then all the Sky Pirates. Are you going to go wind Sky Pirates? I don't
Well,
know.
I'm not saying,
This is
I'm not
why I
saying it
thought
has to be a full
no.
Sky Pirate
No,
deck.
no.
I'm just saying that you have options as to what you're going to do with it. The fact that she's probably going to be quite cost efficient just playing her and playing a 4-drop or a 2-drop backup when she enters the field, like that's still very, very good value, even if she doesn't live a turn. Or, you know, she's got quite a sturdy body for a 3-drop, so her chances of living are a little bit higher. If you play 2 cards off of her, then she's immense. So I'm not saying you have to build a wholly wind earth FF12 deck in order to maximize your number of targets for her. I just think that you can manipulate things in such a way that you can get value off of her turn 1 and turn 2.
Yeah, I think the element spread was a bit weird in this one. But Mitch, we were briefly discussing this yesterday, I think, and I was talking about how like I like the Noctis retainers, the new starter package, and we was vaguely discussing how you could fit this into that, and you could almost use Fran as a way to like generate your backups. So you can sort of go a bit harder in on the Noctis because you want Noctis on early, so you killing stuff when you play things. You got the haste off prompt and that sort of stuff, and then you use the Fran as like, so she's going to come in, kill something with the Noctis ability, and then play a backup, and you can use it to sort of get that sort of ongoing value, so you don't have to worry so much about sort of spending out your hand in the retainer. I don't think there's enough space in that retainer deck to fit this in and get the most from it. But you thought it was an option, so it's something to look at.
As I said, I think this card becomes better over time once they put more Earth into 12 into Earth, or if they find a way to, like, if they give you another Sky Pirate that's like wind can now tap for Earth, like, because that seems to be what they like to do, then this is really good. This card is also absolutely fucking insane in title.
Oh, I mean,
like who, like this, and not only that.
I don't know if you can bump it up for title because.
I actually can, because that, as Rich said, that Balthier, I'm pretty sure you can play Balthier off of it, dole 2 Sky Pirates, give it haste, it plays another thing off of it, and it's got Brave because of it.
I mean, we can't talk about title until it becomes a proper thing. You can't start talking about these broken titles. I think most categories have got a broken in title at the moment. Good luck beating Avalanche. Avalanche is title anyway, isn't it? Basically, but you could just you'd be able to play more clouds, I guess.
No, I actually think 12 has now just got to become the front runner on the best title deck.
Best title deck for 12. All right, that's fair enough. No, I don't want to go into that discussion. I think it's a bit worthless. No offense. Unless they announce it's like going to be a Worlds thing, that you have to have a title deck, which I think they did one year. They had like a triple deck. I can't remember what the permutation was. I don't think one of them was title. They could do something like that. But yeah, we'll see with Fran. I need to go look up what all the Balthiers do. Is there a backup Balthier?
No, I don't think so.
No.
That's a shame. Maybe there's probably another. The Balthier will be next set. There'll be a really good one right now.
Yeah, it'll be an Earth backup.
Earth backup. That search is. Oh, actually, there's that Legend Varn that came out just after the Wind Water Varn, which meant everything was unblockable. So that's a good shout off this Fran, because you can. Is it a 3-drop Varn, and everything that costs 3 can't be blocked?
I think it's 4, but yeah. But he activates all of his backups when he enters, I think. No. Activates all
Sky Pirates. If you pay a wind and if you pay a water, you reduce by 2k for each Sky Pirate you control.
So it could be he fits into that, gives him a use, because he was sort of a bit redundant because the previous Sky Pirate one was still like top dog, wasn't it? So yeah, I think there's some options. I think it's good. I do like this one. So yeah, I gave it B in the end, Rich, but it was an A that turned into
It's
a
not.
B.
It's not quite up to Galif's levels.
Not up to Galif. Galif can't jump ahead of this.
This will never be lived down.
Imagine if can't wait
Done
to
it now, mate.
can't wait to dick you with Galif. It's gonna be glorious. It will happen once, and then that's all we'll remember. Cool. Right, let's move on to. Oh, it's me, isn't it? I keep getting the Duff ones. Right, Sonnen. I guess that's how you name him. I didn't play this version of the. Is this from the remake download content?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Intergrade.
Intergrade, yeah. So Sonnen EX Burst. He's a Earth Lightning 4-cost forward, category 7, job warrior, 8,000 power. He has a back attack. You can remove one Earth backup you control and one Lightning backup you control from the game instead of paying the CP cost to cast Sonnen. The EX Burst. When Sonnen enters the field, choose one forward and up to one other forward. Until the end of the turn, the former gains 5,000 power and the latter loses 5,000 power. What have I given Sonnen? I've given him a C, and I think he's okay. I think all his stuff's okay. Earth Lightning just doesn't really do it for me. I'm not particularly excited to build an Earth Lightning deck because of this Sonnen. So it hasn't changed anything. What did Earth Lightning have going for it? A Rampair. And this removes it, so that doesn't work for Rampair, does it? Because you have to break Rampair. I think these effects feel like a couple of Opuses ago. That's the sort of thing that people were doing. Boosting stuff, losing stuff. So I'm not sure on it. EX Burst is always relevant on this card. Don't know if it's that great on this. Don't know. Just doesn't really do it for me. C tier. Does it go? I feel like this should be going with Yuffie and stuff, because aren't they all part of the? I haven't played. I don't know if he's a goodie or a baddie. I think he's a goodie, right? Is he part of Yuffie's gang? So they should really be working with the Yuffie that they've just brought out. It doesn't at all. There's no synergy there. It's just, I don't know. It's just, is this like hit the quota? We need another category 7 legend, and don't call it Cloud, which doesn't normally stop. It doesn't normally stop him in the past, but. Yeah, I don't get it. Just all a bit weird. I don't think it's that strong either. So it's just a bit of a throwaway one for me. Anyone really like it? Or Rich, you've written a big essay about all the different combos, probably.
No, I really have.
See?
I'm not gonna pile on because I agree with everything you've said.
I'm not trying to I'm not trying to just shit on it. Say it's awful. Just yeah.
I know, but I'm saying if I now do it, I am piling on. So I'm just going to take a brief moment to just go on the other side of the table and say that the most relevant thing here is probably the fact that it's got back attack. So it can come in and chunk block and maybe kill something, and then the enter the field ability, you can maybe reduce something, boost something else. So the back attack is the relevant part, and it's in Lightning doesn't really get back attack.
We just did. We just talked about back attack. No, nothing really gets back attack. There's only a few back attacks, really.
Like Earth forwards don't really get it.
No.
You know, Lightning forwards don't have it all that much. So it is different. But yeah, I agree. Like the EX burst is pretty much irrelevant. The removing the backups is interesting, but you'd really only do it if it's gonna win you the game. Otherwise, you're just kind of gimping yourself. So I've gone for a C as well. I agree with everything you said.
Mitch, did you go higher than a C or?
I will happily pile on. I'm not going to stand ceremony here.
Okay.
So, back attack. Yes, this is probably the best bit about the card, but what those two words don't make up for the rest of the shit show that is going on.
Well, okay, this is a full pile on.
So
a full pile on.
Yeah. So
Mitch is unleashed. Go on then.
As you said, the best Earth Lightning deck probably is Rampair, maybe the X-Death deck, but Rampair, there's no reason to have these cards removed from game. I don't really see. There's nothing inherently broken about that this couldn't just do that already. Like maybe you break a crow and something else. what does it matter? You're still losing 2 backups to play a shit forward. Like if you play this game, if you play this card, you've lost the game. That's the way I see it, because you're losing 2 backups to play this forward. There's not really anything in like.
Yeah, it's not a finish. It's not a finisher back attack where you sack your resources for the surprise. Haha, I'm gonna win the game because you can't do anything about it. This is like a, oh no, this is a panic. I'm gonna have to. Oh, I've got no CP. I can remove these backups and survive another turn.
And the EX burst has got the inherent problem that all Earth EX bursts have. You have to have a forward to actually get the effect. Why is it Earth has in every single EX burst it has is like choose one forward you control, then you can do something. Why is this not choose one forward, choose up to one forward you control and one up to one other forward? Why can it not just be reduce one your opponent controls and you can boost your own? There's no reason for that. If you don't have a forward, you don't get
anything.
It's shit.
I mean, with EX burst as well, they can completely flip a game. Like you can be losing, an EX burst can change everything. And if you hit this, you don't get anything, because even if you've got your forward on the field, and you go, haha, they go, oh, I won't attack with this one then, because you're now 5k bigger than me.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter that my one's 5k. If you've like had to block with like a small forward, you could finish one off if you've got another one, but then you wouldn't be blocking with that one. So I don't know. When you've got EX burst in your deck, every time you take a damage, you're like, please, please, please. Oh no. And I think even if you hit this, you're going to be like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Like, as I said, if you don't have a forward, you don't reduce something. So then, but why did that need that? Like, this doesn't need to have that line of text. If it says, the first line says choose up to one forward, which would gain the 5,000 power, that's better, because then you can still kill something with just 5k or less, and you don't need to boost anything. I hate Earth EX bursts, and this is just more of it.
We'll move on from him then. Probably not more.
I didn't want to pile on.
You did a nice,
conscious, like I just wanted to.
Mitch
keep
was
the show
nice and
rolling.
friendly. But
Mitch needed his moment to just absolutely curb stomp.
That's your category 8 moment.
Yeah, there's always one. I mean, I had
you had the 9 moment,
yeah.
But that's sort of piggybacking. So this is your bit. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's move into lightning. This is where things will get really heated. Just for context before I read this one out. Who's leaded on this one? It's Mitch. Okay, so just let me just do the pretext for this. There's a long-standing history of Rich really likes lightning, not because of lightning, but because of the Odin lightnings. So that's like Rich's thing. He loves the lightning Odin package, and Mitch is not that he dislikes the lightning Odin package. He just likes to dislike anything that someone else likes, because he has an insistence of proving them wrong and making them look stupid. So on that note, I'm going to lead over to Mitch as I read this abilities out. You can bear that in mind when, because I'm expecting this to get heated between these two, and I'm just going to sit back.
You've got to remember that I've been tracking who's been given what grades, and I know that Mitchell had an S grade left to give.
No,
and
it can't be Furion.
No, it's Bash and Sephiroth.
It's Sephiroth he gave you. Oh, did you give Bash and Ish?
Ooh, okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, you've got an A grade and a B grade left to give, and I know that if you've rated Furion higher than Lightning, then this podcast ends now.
He does like Furions, but right. Okay. Lightning. She's a 2-cost forward, 7k. Because why not make her 7k? She's Earth. Oh, sorry, no. Lightning and Water. Job Savior. Haste. When lightning enters the field, choose one forward opponent controls. Dull it. Draw one card. You can pay an lightning and a water. Remove one card named Lightning and one card named Odin in the break zone from the game. Play lightning onto the field. You can only use this ability during your turn, and if lightning is in the break zone. So, Mitch, take it away on this wonderful lightning, which we've all been crying for, another lightning legend. This is the one. Is this the one?
No, it's B tier. Move on.
B tier. Go on then.
I will, to save Rich getting triggered, I was just going to wind him up, but you have miscounted. These are both, the next two are B tiers. My A's are Theodore, Yuffie, Melvian, and Lena.
See that now.
So
see
yeah,
that.
they're both B. They're as shit as each other. Don't worry.
I don't like Len. I don't know why I gave an S. I'll say I've given it a B as well. Before Rich comes in and talks about how
yeah,
how
as
great.
said-
Seeing as you're
Both
you're the Lightning Odin expert,
Yeah,
I've given it a B
Rich,
because it's got haste and it draws a card, and drawing a card is always good.
Rich wants to talk about this.
Go
card,
on, Rich. You have
whereas,
the floor is
I want
yours.
to talk about. I want to talk about Firion.
All right,
He
you
wants
have
to talk about
Firion and you have Lightning. God then.
Yeah.
The beauty of having a round table like this is that everyone's entitled to their opinion, so we all get
Except
to hear
except for
things-
Gloof.
I will go after you. Don't worry.
You are entitled to be wrong, so please make an idiot of yourself first, and then we'll come back to me after.
It's got personal. It's just
No, I
cards,
feel
boys.
attacked.
It's just cards, boys. It's just a children's game
this
that
has
adults
been-
play. Let's
You-
bring it down
you
a
want me to go
notch.
first?
This
You
has
want me
been
to go
brewing for
first?
days. Yeah, you go
Oh,
first.
okay.
Tom. I want an
Okay.
untainted opinion here.
Okay. It's nothing special. It's okay. It gets haste. It's 7k. It's nice. 2 CP. You dollar forward, and you only draw if you dollar forward. If your opponent doesn't have any forwards, this is garbage. If you don't have an Odin in your break zone, this is garbage. If your opponent plays Mist Dragon, this is garbage.
Well, you can play Lena with Lightning.
Yeah, but then you're playing.
I'm joking. Carry on.
Yeah, like actually, don't make this deck any worse than I already envision it.
But then Lena
Like-
can play the Thancred. Sorry, go on, carry
Yeah, I said
I don't know
you're
why-
making this deck
on.
worse.
I don't know.
and
We've
worse.
both said it's B. I don't know why. Go on, carry on.
Yeah. So as I said, I think there are so many problems with this card, and it's the same. Like me and Rich both played the Rydia deck, and which, for people who don't know, like you use Rydia, you search the Odins, and you make the 6-cost Odin a lot cheaper, and then cast the Odin with Rydia on field to kill something else. That deck is good, but if you come up against something that can remove a break zone, it falls apart. This will also fall apart for the same issue. Like, it doesn't help that deck in any way. It just adds to. I see it more as a win more card than it being an actual solving an issue that deck had. And Rich is sitting there with his smug ass smile, so I'll
He's
let
ready
him
to go. Come on, Rich.
I don't disagree with what you're saying. I just think that you're placing too much gravitas into. You're placing too much importance into a single aspect and saying that the whole card fails because of that. So the thing with Lightning is that she is not made in such a way that you would build a deck around her. She is a complement piece to another piece of a Water Lightning deck. So whether that be Water Lightning Knights and you're running Agrius and Avelia and those kind of cards, or whether you're doing what we have been for the past couple of weeks, which is the Final Fantasy 4 Rydia Water Lightning deck with Canes and Hooded Mans and Porums and stuff like that. So because you don't build the entire deck around her, it means if the lightning aspect doesn't come off, it means that the rest of the deck doesn't fall apart. So therefore, if you do come up against Break Zone Recursion, it's not going to ruin lightning. And if your opponent doesn't have a forward on the field, it's not going to ruin lightning. It just means that she can kind of do stuff that admittedly, like the other parts of the deck aren't really going to do. In our FF4 deck, we didn't really dull forwards, we just killed them, or we power reduced them, or we went over the top of them. So having access to lightning actually gives us something new. The fact that when she can choose an already dull forward and draw a card, okay, well now she's kind of refunded us. I think the main thing that our deck struggles with is just a lack of haste, because our only real haste comes from Hooded Man, and we now have access to a haste forward. So each time we're getting something new. The main thing for me is the fact that her recursion is built into herself, so she is not reliant on a Lena or any other card or a Puck to get herself out of break zone and back on the field when you need her. She can just do it herself, provided you have access to a Lightning and an Odin. And okay, you have to pay the CP for it, but the fact that her recursion is built into herself means that when you need her and you can she is enabled, you can get her. You're not searching your deck for a card to then get that lightning back to make that play, you know. And that, to me, that's it. All three of those aspects are independent of each other, and just because one fails, it doesn't invalidate the other two, is my point. But I agree with everything you say. I'd give it an S tier.
Rebuttal. Rebuttal.
Oh, bloody hell. Can I just quickly interject? You can play the same if you remove this lightning from the break zone as the effect. You can then play it in. So it says remove card name lightning and Odin. You could remove the one you want to play onto the field, or not.
I don't actually know, because I think it was asked on Twitter and I didn't actually see the response.
Oh, okay. Maybe in the FAQ.
Yeah, but I believe you can.
We assumed it was yes, unless stated otherwise.
Yeah, because it doesn't say play this lightning from the break zone. Which this card, I will say, if this card can't remove itself and play itself, I would say this is probably even worse than Firion because of that. But I've been basing it on that you can remove itself and play itself onto the field.
Again, just because one aspect of the card failed does not mean that the entire card fails.
Your argument for it being an S tier can't be that this card isn't good sometimes, so it doesn't matter. I will just play my other cards. That's not an S tier argument.
You didn't give it an S tier, though, did you? Give it an A.
I gave it an S tier.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. That's all right. He likes it.
That's what I'm saying.
What's wrong with that?
But what I'm saying is that's not a strong argument for this card. That I just won't play it if it's not useful at that point.
Well, I mean, I gave it a B because I think every part of it is pretty good, and you don't like when if you're going for, like, I don't know, I won't use Galoof because you just think, but like with cards like Galoof and stuff like that, you're playing it because you need all of it to happen. You want all, but with this one, because it only costs 2. You don't have to do a big setup to get all the value off your Lightning Legend. So if they've got a forward, you can pay 2 and then she doles it and draws your card. So that's job done. That's really good. If there's an empty field, you could just come in with haste for cost 2. That's really good. You can get it back from... So each part of it is decent, and you don't have to have all of it align to get it all off for some like mega payoff. So I think that's why it's a good B. I think you could happily play this onto an empty field just because it's got haste and it's 7k, and then if it dies the next turn, you can remove it from the break zone and play it again. So I think like each part of it, you don't have to have all of it hitting because it's so cheap. Whereas like some of the other things, you sort of need to wait, or you have to wait for the big payoff of it to make it good. So that's why I think it's pretty good.
Yeah,
whether that makes it S tier is another thing, but it probably could. You can justify why Rich would say it's S then, because it's like good in lots of different situations.
When it's good, it's good. Like, for example, if you're swinging and you do the 6th point of damage, and then they hit an EX burst Odin and like kill one of your forwards, then you can play lightning onto the field and do the 7th point of damage. That is something that your opponent is always going to have to be aware of when you are playing this card. But as I said, the problem is there's a lot of cards that will be like, okay, I'm going to remove lightning. So granted, I think this is a good card when it works. When there's something like I don't think you always need to draw. I don't think you need to dole anything all the time. But as I said, there are times when you're going to draw this and you're like, I don't really want this card. And yes, I know it can like draw another card, but you're still paying 2 CP for it. I don't know, I just think that like
it's weird that this is the one that's caused the most like back and forth.
No, you wait till
I think it's generally good. All right.
This has been brewing for a while. Again,
it's got personal. There is the personal background to this, so
just to counter what Mitch has said, we all graded Barsh as an A, an S, and an A. But to me, that is on the same basis as this. If you're under the cosh and you're taking a lot of damage, you're not going to want to play Barsh and take a point of damage in order to search a character. And that, again, Barsh itself is not a key component of the Fire Earth deck that it's going to be in. It's a complementary piece that is going to help with setup or give you access to something you didn't have before. So we've got a situational card in Lightning that you've told me is trash, and a situational card in Bash that the three of us have all agreed is a good card.
Yeah,
Do you not see
Mitch.
that there's a discrepancy there?
Your whole moral fibre is corrupt, and
No,
everything that
but
makes you
I
you is
just want
wrong.
consistency.
Bash
Yeah,
isn't an
bitch.
enabler. Bash
This
is
is
an
an
enabler.
enabler.
To what?
Just having access to things you didn't have access to before, not having
Bash,
that much access to
What?
haste, not having access to dull, being
Drawing
able
a
to just
card,
draw a
why do
card
you,
drawing a
right?
card
immediately.
in
Fucking
water, being able to
Well,
draw a
exactly.
card in
yeah,
water.
yeah,
Oof,
yeah.
you
That
don't have
that
that.
is just
Well,
rare.
no, fuck
But
off.
but also you have literally said in your opening argument that the
Bloody hell.
deck removes everything that's on the field. So why do you need to dull something?
Stuff that you
There's no
can't remove.
like what? What can't you remove in that deck?
I just if they're spamming the board and they're going wide, this is for me the main drawback of this lightning is the fact that it depending on your playstyle, it competes with the Opus 16 lightning for deck space. If you
Yeah.
are not playing aggressively, you're always going to want the other lightning to remove something from the game. Removing from the game is a stronger effect. I will give you that, but if your playstyle of your deck does not fit where you are having your opponent go wide. So in our FF4 deck, we are killing shit constantly, in which case the other lightning's not quite so good. I don't understand why you wouldn't run 2 of this.
I will
Yeah.
add as well, a lot of these legends we've read out have got brave, so that might be a thing. So a lot of things standing up. This opus, a lot of brave, particularly in the legends that we just read out. So being able to dull something, maybe not so bad. And then Sephiroth can come in because you can play triple element and play your Gilgamesh. And there you go.
Okay, I've like
No, I'm
whatever
joking.
he's
Let's
saying.
move. Can we move? I moved on. I clicked
no,
onto Therian like 5 minutes ago, and then you started like bitch slapping each other.
No, it's
So
fine.
let's move on
I'm
to
done.
Therian because we're at 1 hour 44 already. We were a great time until we got to this last, which I didn't, which I thought were,
to argue this.
which I didn't think was going to get it. So Therian is the last one. Mitch, we've said you can have it because you're the only one who
Okay.
likes Therian. The Therian is the other 2 cost multi-element. He's water and fire. Forward 5,000 power, warrior stroke rebel. If you control 5 or more characters, Therian gains haste. And when Therian attacks, draw 1 card. Discard 1 card. If the discarded card is of fire element, until the end of the turn, Therian gains 2,000 power and first strike. If the discarded card is of water element, Therian gains 2,000 power until the end of the turn and activate Therian. Go on then, Mitch. You always like a Therian.
As I said, I don't think this card is the best card in the set. I've said that multiple times.
Is it going to be a situational enabler? Is that what you're saying?
What I'd like to
S tier situational. It's an S
tell you.
an S tier situational enabler. Go on then. Sorry.
No, fuck off.
Oh,
as I
so
said,
good.
it does what it says on the tin. Like it literally, if you've got 5, like if you've got your 5 backups, the deck that I see this in is like something like Knights, where you play this down, you swing with it. Your opponent's like, shit, do I block? Because they've drawn a card already. But then, if they discard a fire water card, it's now 9k, activates itself, first strike. You're losing a forward. But then your opponent's like, well, I can't afford to lose my forward, so this does a point of damage. I can discard a card. I don't have to discard a card. It doesn't force me to do anything. I can swing with this, draw a card. It replaces itself. Done. But then your opponent's always like, if I block this, it's going through their head. If they've got a fire water card, or even if they block it with, say, a 5k, you either trade with it, you drew a card, it doesn't really give a shit about this dying, and I can see Rich just like being triggered about every single line that I'm saying, but like the option that is there to just be like, okay, I'm going to boost it, and what do? Like you can always win the trade with this card if you want to, like. And it doesn't say during.
You probably just let him through and pray for a son on EX burst.
No, yeah, that's it. If this dies to Sonnen, okay.
Dies to Sonnen, man.
I think I'm going to go back and rewrite Sonnen. But as I said, like this will swing. Your opponent's going to be like, I don't want to lose my forward, so it does a 3 point of damage, and then it swings again, and draws a card. It literally that first line just makes it pay for itself. If you don't want to discard, it doesn't matter. I think, as I said, I don't think it's the best card in like there is, but I think it's an interesting addition to the Knights deck.
You
Because
gave this an
the
A, did
Knight,
you?
no, I put it in B
Oh,
still,
B.
but
But then Lightning was
no,
in C.
B.
B.
They're
Oh, so
both
they're
Bs.
both B. Oh, you thought
Yeah,
Ethereum was A. Okay, so they're both Bs.
yeah.
What did I give it? C. Yeah, just it's no Galoof, that's for sure. Galoof
I've got,
blocks.
Yeah, but
Galoof blocks him and survives. Oh no,
I've got your
you can double discard, can't you, to boost it?
I've got your C's as Gilgamesh, Akstar, Melvin, and Sonnen.
Oh, am I out of C's?
I think
Yeah,
you're on 5 C's.
yeah, you're on five.
So
Cs.
it's between this and Melvian. I'd probably put it above Melvian then because I'm more likely to play water, fire than I am ice, wind. So
So now we're grading the cards on how likely we are to play them as
Well, that's
opposed
always
to the
in-
actual merit.
that's always in my mind. I do a bit of merit and then a bit of playability personally, and yeah, I think it's fair enough. I think that attacking and drawing card and stuff's quite nice, isn't it? It's
As I
got
said, it
haste.
literally
It's
just
pretty cool.
replaces itself, which is all it really needs to do.
Yeah, it's good. And like the stuff with ongoing combat tricks where it's just obviously there. If I block
Yeah.
this, I'm probably gonna die if they want me to die. They're really tricky to play around and stuff, and
Right.
they're just annoying because
And it's also something to consider. Like you've swung with it, you've drawn a card, they've not blocked, and then your opponent's like, okay, I'm free to swing with this now, but they're not because
you can
you can
activate
discard. Yeah, you can discard a fire water card, and you get both effects for this. You activate Furion, he's now a 9k first strike blocker.
Oh yeah, that's good. So you can discard a multi-element for the double
Yeah.
combo. Yeah, that's quite good actually. Yeah, I find
So-
these ones are really annoying to get around and stuff. So,
I
but
will say if it was 6k, I'd rate this card higher. But the reason it's 5k is because it needs to die easily. And then
You would
Rich is
rate
like,
this. You would rate this higher than a B if it was a 2-drop 6k.
yes,
You would make that an A.
yes.
Wow.
I think
okay.
I think that's fair. I think just
I don't-
because, like you
The-
said, just because
the-
there's no risk to you to play this to cost 2, and then attack straight away and draw your card. You could even just throw it away just to get a draw if you want to.
Yeah.
Because if they then don't block it because they know you're probably going to die, you get a free damage out of it, and you've drawn a card, and you can do it next. Like it's just like it's so cheap. There's nothing to lose from just bunging it down and attacking and drawing a card. Really, that's pretty good. But still C.
said it.
What did I say? Oh no,
Different.
B because I
Yeah.
wouldn't play Melvian.
As I said, you play down that is it Gawain that searches you 2 cards.
Not this though.
Be
No,
nice.
it doesn't search this, but then you could search like Steiner or something like that, and then if you don't want to play the Steiner, your opponent knows you've got that in hand, so they won't block this.
Oh,
they're
because you
like,
got the
okay, right,
fire water
Yeah,
in
you've
hand.
literally shown them I have a fire water card in my hand.
I have a
gonna
9k
either-
first strike
yeah,
here if you want.
I'm-
And when
I'm
you
either
attack
gonna-
next turn, I'm going to jump him up and do it
Yeah.
again.
I'm either going to break you, like kill your forward, or you're going to take a point of damage.
Yeah,
And that is literally
majority of
the
people are
mind-
not going to pay attention to that either, so you're going to get a freebie off them anyway. you're
And that's
overestimating
my logic.
people's ability to care too much.
That's my logic behind the card of why I like it, is because it plays mind games with your opponent. And I've always been.
That's the way you
for
like
that.
to play as well.
Yeah,
Actually,
that-
that's
that-
your Mitch is a big combat tricker sort of mind gamey sort of person. It's like a classic Mitch deck where he'll do stuff and you're like, oh no, whatever I do here, you're gonna die. And then when you don't do it, he's like, oh, I had nothing. And then when you do it, you die. So he's a right irritating like that. But Rich, do you have
Rebuttal.
do you want to bury this? Bury Firion and we'll call it a day.
Literally, for the sake of time, like I won't go deep on it. I've given it a C. I just don't like the card. I don't like the fact that it's only a 5k body. I don't like the fact that you have to discard cards in order for it to be a good, in order for it to be a good forward. So, it's in Firewater. Why you'd run other Firewater cards, I don't really know, because none of them are great. And if you're putting them in, you're more putting them in because of this card, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I understand.
Oh, he's got off full art.
he has to attack to draw the card, so I treat him a little bit differently to Lightning, who will just get the draw as long as they have forward. For me, like the Furion one's a little bit harder to get off if your opponent can dull and freeze, or if your opponent can just straight up kill it. You know, it's a little bit different to Lightning for me. But I just it's not for me. I don't like the fact that you have to discard a card in order for him to gain stuff.
That's fair enough. I like the way on his artwork he's jumping over like a big lightning strike, and he's in fire and water.
I was trying to work out what was behind him.
I've just flicked it on. I had it on the normal card. I didn't realise the full art, so I've just flicked it to the full art, and then you can see it's like a big lightning bolt. Yeah, there's some like little dragon thing there.
I think it's an axe. Because he's got daggers to his right, a staff behind him, and then what looks like an axe to his left.
Oh, there's like little shuriken stuff as well.
He has multiple weapons, doesn't he? Because you can flick between them all.
Oh, do they like float around him like Noctis thing? And he like picks the one. Oh, okay, that's cool.
Oh, also irrelevant job, irrelevant category, which is also something I'll take into consideration.
I mean, there's a lot of warriors appearing. We still don't really have warrior. There's a really old, I think it's Ward, isn't it, from Final?
Yeah.
Who gives 2k, I think. But
still not good.
Yeah, that's not good. Not good.
I'm not running that.
So we had Rebels last set, didn't we? Maria Rebels or something. So this is in the wrong colours for that.
No, because that was like you've got the guy, and I'm not saying you'd run that either, but I don't think Rebels.
Oh yeah, there was. It played a rebel, didn't it?
You can search.
Is there a 5-drop that played a rebel?
Is it Joseph?
Joseph searched a rebel, and then you played the 5-drop that then played a rebel to field. So you play this.
But as I said, where
you'd get your 5 characters.
Going in with
the
new
knights.
Ramser in knights. Because I think that new Ramser is crazy good.
I can't remember what it does. Just remember it had a lot of stuff to read, and I didn't read it.
So
that probably means it's good.
Oh, I can read it to you.
Nah, it's alright. We're nearly at 2 hours.
No, let me read this.
Hold still while I read it you.
Yeah.
You can read it then? No, fucking it.
Actually, let me. I thought you were ending it. Okay. Yeah, basically, he just plays a knight. It was Warp 2, plays knight of 5 or less, which is the Agrius. And then you can dole 4 active knights to break a forward and deal your opponent damage. So, as I said, you're just getting... You play this Ramser in 2 turns, you're getting Agrius, draw a card. And then you can play your Furion as well, just because, why not?
Why?
Well, I'm not going down this. Let's not go down this rabbit hole again. We'll call it. We'll call time. I think that was the last one.
Yeah.
The last ones are the legacies. We won't talk about them because that will take us down another hole. Well, interestingly, on the card browser, the legacy ones have both the variants. So these are the new. I will talk about them. I said I wouldn't. So the legacy ones are Aerith, Cloud, and Sephiroth. But in the card browser, it's got both the versions, the old version and the full art Amano. So I'm not sure if the Amano are super rare as well, or if you get a legacy, you get the Amano, or if you get
I think you get the Amano.
You will get the Amano. Okay.
I think so.
That's interesting. They've put it on as the both versions on the card browser. Maybe it's like a default thing.
Because that Sephiroth was already a full art. I think you get this as the alternative, whereas
of course, yeah.
Right.
You didn't have full arts at that time, I don't think, and so this is.
When in the card browser, it's got the bog standard one plus the full art, but the legacies are always full art, so it must be you can only get the full art version of it. What was the other one? It was the starter Cloud, I think, wasn't it? Oh, he's not in the card browser. I feel there's the like pod Cloud, the one that breaks stuff. Yeah. I'm sure he's another one as well. So there's 3 legacies. It definitely was because we looked at it the other day. Oh well. But anyway, yes. Well, that's drawn to the close our Legends review for Opus 18. We were well on track for finishing under 2 hours. We've just about to hit the 2 hour mark because of the little rant at the end about Lightning and Furion. But if you've stuck with us, thank you very much for joining us again for another Opus. We normally tag these at the end about how, let's, new card, we're going to start doing these more regularly. Obviously, the way it is, if nothing's happening, I think we're not really going to be doing much content and stuff because nothing's happening. So hopefully from the new year, we'll get some announcements, stuff will start rolling, things will start mattering more, and then we'll get some more regular stuff going. as we sort of progress towards like the year end world tournament. Lots of exciting stuff. If you're going to the Winter Cup, have a good time. It looks like they've got the Gill shop back, which is pretty cool. Where you can like trade lots of cool prizes and stuff, so that might be good. Otherwise, just keep playing. You're playing at your locals. Support your locals. And keep the game going. It's turning into a collector's game rather than a player's game. So we need to stop collecting stuff. Start playing. And until next time, whenever that will be, we will see you then. 3 months' time, Opus 19. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.